Oh, all right. I see us. I see us in the chat. I just want to make sure that we're here. All righty. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Worldbuilders After Dark. It's nice to see everybody. We have a super special event tonight. It is a demo of Blades in the Dark. That in one moment. As you all know, we're here for Worldbuilders end of year fundraiser. To benefit Heifer International. We are currently at $781,000 plus, which is over $200,000 past our goal. So thank you to everyone. Please keep that donations rolling in, and we hope you really enjoy tonight. Blades in the Dark is a tabletop game, role-playing game about a crew of daring scoundrels seeking their fortunes on the haunted streets of an industrial fantasy city. There are heists, chases, occult mysteries, dangerous bargains, bloody skirmishes, and above all, riches to be had. We also have a giveaway of Die Hard dice every half hour. Check in the chat for that. With that introduction, I will hand it off to all of y'all to tell us a little bit about yourselves and the game that y'all are going to be playing tonight.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon O'Brien. I'm a writer, poet, and game designer from Trinidad and Tobago. And I am here to lead all of my friends in a game of Blades in the Dark, a one-shot that I would like to call The Heist of the Dread Train. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be pretty wild, and I'm glad to be joined with all of my friends who I would like very much to introduce themselves by saying who you are, what you do, and who you will be playing this evening, starting with Jeoi Gawain.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Jeoi Gawain, pronouns he, they. I am a fiction and game writer, and my other most pertinent participation in the creative endeavors for this particular broadcast would be playing Crossroads and X-Whisper, who is totally made of meat, over on Brandon O'Brien's other campaign on Speculate. In this particular setting, I'm going to be playing a current Whisper who, unlike the other one, is definitely, absolutely, and totally made of meat and very, very, very extremely alive.
Thank you for confirming that. Next, Iori Kusano.
Hello, Iori Kusano, Clarion West class of 2017. Fiction in Apex and forthcoming from Frozen Wavelets, reviews in Strange Horizon, nonfiction in Uncanny. In Brandon's other Blades campaign on Speculate, I play Of the Flame the Ash, who is a Severosi Lurk. Today, I'm going to be playing Campanella, who is our Cutter. Campanella is not going to have a gender, just muscles. Just a truly upsetting amount of muscles. I've wanted to be the heavy for a while, so I'm really looking forward to today.
I'm glad to give you that opportunity. Next, Valerie Valdes.
Hello, I am Valerie Valdes. I am the author of Chilling Effect and Prime Deceptions, two found family space opera novels that pair super well with Mike Underwood's found family space opera novel, which he will talk about in a moment. I am also in Brandon's other Blades in the Dark Speculate game, where I play Skelly, who is a hound who eats a lot. In this game, however, I am going to be playing Lily Penderin, alias Thorn. She is a leech who has a propensity for using poisons.
Ooh, poisons. That sounds fun. And last but definitely not least, Michael Underwood.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael R. Underwood, he, him. I, with Brandon and our friend Gregory Wilson, co-host Speculate, which is an actual play podcast featuring science fiction fantasy professionals from a variety of disciplines. We kind of co-produce the Speculate game that we're all in, and those play at twitch.tv/Arvan Eleron, ARVAN Eleron. And it also goes out in a podcast form that you can get anywhere. My latest novel is Annihilation Aria, which Valerie mentioned. It is a found family space opera for fans of Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Wars, or the 1999 Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, The Mummy. In the Speculate game, I play a Akarosi spider mastermind war veteran type. In this game, I am playing Renee Steady Seaborn, a railjack, and railjacks are ghost fighting roughnecks that work on the trains of this world that have cool occult stuff that we'll get around to soon. And Renee is kind of a refugee from a recently conquered nation, and there's some associations there with everybody else. Renee's pronouns are she, her. And that's me.
Okay. So before we begin the inciting incident, one of the particularly interesting things that I've asked all of these players is to describe a rumor of a crime that you have committed in the past that has spread and gained renown before the inciting incident, the very curious inciting incident that I have planned for today's game. So, going backwards, starting with Renee, what is the rumored crime that you have committed? And is that rumor accurate or not?
Well, I think there's a story that's passed around the kind of railjack meetups and the rough bars at the various kind of port cities that the rails move through, that there's a certain Scotlander railjack born of the sea who went off book and pulled a job for Ulf Ironborn, who's a kind of gang leader among Scotland refugees, and that they carved an entire back kind of train off of an imperial tithe and rent shipment and grabbed it onto a boat and fled off, and nobody knows where that money has shown up. But boy, doesn't Ulf have better guns now.
Duly noted. Good for Ulf. Wow. Next, Valerie's character, whose name is...
So she's Lily. She's known as Thorn. That's her alias when she goes around. But so Lily is a Pandaren, which is one of the higher-ranking noble families in the city of Duskwall. While Lily used to go to society gatherings, she became notorious for the alleged murder of Arvis Cleland, the Clelands being another noble family. He specifically was a nephew of the chief commissioner of the city watch. Arvis was unfortunately known for his particularly brutal vices and his ruthless treatment of the underclasses, which was ignored by the Bluecoats, who are the law in the city, because of his family connections. So at a party, Lily was seen entering a private room that he was already occupying, and from which he never emerged alive. Her family and she, of course, maintain her total innocence, and because the evidence was flimsy and circumstantial, she has been wandering free with no problems, but the relationships with the Clelands and her family specifically have been a little strained ever since.
Okay. Next, I would like to hear what Tetaros Deneb has been up to. That would be your character, Iori.
Yes, Campanella. Campanella, being a Scotlander refugee in Akaros, has been working as a day laborer for, over a decade now. This is pretty well known in the neighborhood. Campanella doesn't talk about it himself because everybody just Monday morning quarterbacks their decisions. But several years ago, when they were working on a construction crew for a new gambling house, there were a lot of accidents. There was a lot of unpaid overtime. The laborers tried to unionize, and management brought in the Bluecoats, and things went badly. Campanella entered into some pretty high-stakes gambling against the casino owner, and when he had the man just snowed under, when they had the man snowed under a mountain of debt, Campanella demanded that instead of paying in cash, give your workers better conditions. The entire neighborhood thinks Campanella's an idiot for not taking the cash. And it was an extremely temporary win, since project only had a few more months left on it. Honestly, the biggest effect on Campanella's life is no one wants to play cards with them anymore.
Okay, thank you. And lastly, what has Tamlin been up to?
So, to explain a little bit, Tamlin is a whisper, and whispers in Blades in the Dark are people who devote themselves to being able to basically connect to / channel the ghost field, because Duskfall is very, very haunted and very, very spooky and very, very unfortunate. So he basically operated as a whisper on whaling ships and conducted arcane / occult rituals and ceremonies for the sailors' health, safety, benefit, sanity, all of that kind of thing. Because unbeknownst to everyone, he happens to be sworn to one of the Leviathans called the Flensed Wife. And as one would expect, the sailors who watch him do these occult rituals and whatnot started saying that, man, you know, this guy's really, really good at making sure we don't die. There's some weird stuff going on here. He probably eats the Leviathans. That's what's going on. Which would be the equivalent in this world of eating demons, which Tamlin hasn't eaten a whole one.
Okay. I'm curious how much Tamlin has eaten, but this is enough for me. So we open with a montage of interactions that each of you have with an individual named Kyranax. And how this happens is each of you, while like going about your daily business on several different evenings, are all like walking to or from work or home when you notice a black cat with shining purple eyes approach you as you are each like perfectly alone, no one else in the street to notice that this interaction is taking place. And very briefly, this cat has simply told you all arrive at a certain warehouse in Brightstone in 3 days' time. What is each of your immediate reactions to that interaction when that takes place?
Campanella is pretty sure they didn't drink that much.
You might have.
Very possible, but...
Yes, very much.
Tamlin receives the message from this cat with the glowing purple eyes. Tamlin says, okay, goodbye, and then turns around and goes back the way he came.
Okay. How do Thorn and Steady react to this first interaction?
Steady's first response when kind of spoken to by a being that presumably shouldn't be speaking is to almost gunslinger like throw back her kind of heavy coat to reveal a lightning baton, which is like a police person's baton, but it crackles with kind of electricity, which is one of the primary tools used by humans to fight ghosts. Mm-hmm. The whole cities are covered in great lightning barrier shields that keep the ghosts out, because hundreds of years ago, the gates of death broke and spirits do not rest easy. And one of the things that railjacks do is fight ghosts on trains. And so her first instinct is that this is some kind of, angry spirit come after her for all that she's done against them. But when it's just a scary, possibly demonic cat, like the coat passes back, she cocks her head to the side, kind of wind-blown carved features, and says, "Okay, pay better be good," and goes about her business.
I will add that Kyranax does like notice that shift in response and does smirk in your direction before it leaves. And how does Thorn respond?
She kind of squats down and puts a hand out gently and says, "Who sent you, my dear?"
I brought myself. I've heard stories about you, and I think that you would be useful for a task that I need performed.
And you cannot say which master you serve.
I'm my own master, but I am in service of a goal greater than myself. You will learn more in 3 days.
Very well. We'll speak again then.
Okay. And after all of these interactions, 3 days pass. And waiting in this warehouse in Brightstone is again Kyranax, this black-furred, purple-eyed cat, and a very sturdy-looking man with a bald head, wearing a very ratty vest, but his trousers and his shoes are very well kept, as if he had a lot of money and wanted to buy very good clothes, but decided to start from the bottom up. And they're just standing, waiting in this warehouse for you all to gather. And I take it then that you would all arrive at relatively the same time, enough to all learn what takes place next all at once.
Campanella's definitely going to be on time for this. It reminds them of an opera they like. And while that opera didn't really end happily for the cat, the human lead got a good deal.
Okay, that's very good motivation, I assume. Okay.
Yeah, Lily was early just to stake the place out a little.
Tamlin was also a little early. Not that anybody would have seen him there, but when everyone arrives, there is a flurrying of small, ghostly cricket shapes that seem to vanish up his sleeves casually, but that's probably a trick of the streetlight.
Duly noted.
And Steady walks in almost late and says, "Okay, what's the job?"
And Kyranax turns to Renee in particular at the time that she has just entered the space and goes, straight to the point for someone who has come right on time. Thank you all for being so punctual. Kyranax glances at the man standing to its left and then glances back at you all and says, I've gathered you here to discuss perhaps one of the most challenging kinds of robberies that can be done in this city. Or not in this city, moving as far away from this city as possible. At this point, I would just urge anyone who is willing to look around the place to do whatever role they think they would like to do in order to gain some information about the space that they're in. Which might be a study or a survey, depending on if you want to observe the two individuals in the warehouse, or if you want to observe anything else in this space.
I think Tamlin would survey the layout of the place immediately. He grew up largely on ships, so the layouts of places are quite important, as if you do not know the layout of a ship, if it starts taking on water, you will drown.
Okay.
Campanella
So
will also survey, but they will focus on the people.
Okay. So both of those surveys, your position is controlled, and your effect is limited.
And while we're rolling that, do you want to tell the audience what position and effect do?
Oh yes. For anyone who is not familiar with the system of Blades in the Dark, how roles work in this game is essentially that anytime you want to perform an action, it is weighed against mitigating factors that affect your ability to do the thing and how well that thing will actually fare given the circumstances that you're in. Which are position and effect, respectively. And essentially, you're rolling to discover how you can effectively mitigate those circumstances well enough to gain information or to gain an advantage in those situations, which is really neat as a system.
And I've rolled a 2 and a 5. Jeoi?
I have rolled a 1 and a 4. And to clarify, when you have stats in Blades in the Dark, you can take up to 4 dots in a particular action. I happen to have no dots in the ability called Survey. So when that happens, you get 2 dice automatically, but then you take the lowest result of that roll. I rolled a 1 and a 4, so I automatically take the 1, which is the lowest possible result.
Mm-hmm. Renee also rolled. Do you want to say what you rolled, Mike?
Yeah, so I have the ability Ghost Catcher, and one of its sections is take +1d to survey an area for spirit activity. And that's what Renee is mostly looking for. Are there other spiritual beings here? Are there kind of ghosts that haunt this area? So I think because I got that +1d and the 6 was last, that's really what she's honed in on.
Mm-hmm. And Thorn ruled as well. So...
Yeah, Thorn was attempting to study the people. Unfortunately, studying a cat is not very strong among her skills, and she only rolled a 2.
Okay, so I will start with the people who wanted. I would start with the characters who wanted to observe people, who would have been Thorn and Campanella. Thorn does not notice anything of note, unfortunately. It just seems like a cat who is not a cat, and this very strong-looking fellow who has not said anything yet. Campanella, you notice one that very uniquely you notice that the man is not armed, but you get the impression that he is still prepared for a fight. That he was brought here almost uniquely as muscle in the event that this interaction went badly. And you notice that Kyranax is giving a lot of slight attention to something in the room that Renee notices first, trying to observe the room in general, which is that under Kyranax's feet on the crate that it is standing on is a very long blueprint that is rolled open on the crate, but you cannot see what is on that blueprint from where you are standing at the moment. But you notice that it's one of the only things in the room that is not obviously a broken down crate or like a crowbar or some other random knickknack that is the relic of when this warehouse was in use. Unfortunately, Tamlin notices nothing. Tamlin just is mildly like entranced by Kyranax's eyes, and is briefly aware of the fact that that's what's holding his attention, but like can't do anything about it for a while, just like entranced.
Typical.
And then Kyranax turns, like, Kyranax is like aware of the fact that Tamlin is looking at it and meets his gaze very briefly, and then smirks and then turns to the rest of the group and says, have you ever traveled to the south of Akaros by train?
Tamlin suddenly feels the release of the purple gaze from his being and gathers himself and says, I have not. I've not ever been on a train.
4 times a year, twice in winter. Gets hot down there.
I hear so. I'm particularly grateful that you're going to be a part of this team. Have you ever worked on the Imperial Wire?
Strangely not been so lucky to get that posting.
You refer to it as luck. I consider that a particular kind of cruelty, but no matter. I would like to propose to you all a high challenge. There is a thing on the Emperor's train. I can't say much about it now. I can give you only the package number that it is filed under in its cargo car. They say that it's Q4/2. I would like whatever is in that crate very much. Unfortunately, it would be kind of burdensome in my present form or my natural form to go ahead and get that by myself. So I've sought only the most powerful of thieves and ruffians that I can imagine. Those who can poison nobles without anyone seeing. Those who can eat a leviathan. Those who can win freedom for their kin. Those who have stolen from the Emperor right under his gaze before. I would like you to steal this crate right off the Imperial Wire and bring it back to me. The only limitations that I'm aware of are as follows. The train, as you know, belonging to the Emperor himself, being literally a gland of his spite, is unfortunately quite accursed. I know that might be a bother for mortals, but I imagine that's what our friend Tamlin would be here for. As for the train itself, I imagine Renee is more than gifted in the ins and outs of traveling upon the rail and learning its mechanisms. Although I will warn you that a lot of it is not powered by the steam and oil that you know, but darker things that I cannot explain very briefly for you. The rest is simple. You secure the crate, you do not open it, and you do not die. At which point I should assure you that if you are on the train longer than 2 stops, if you get to Cloud Spire and further, your chances of survival it will increasingly decrease. And at that point, I will not be able to help you. Which gives you roughly an hour to secure the goods for me. What say you all to this proposition?
What are we being offered in return?
Anything you desire. I am so confident in your ability and in the surety of my payment that I will literally be able to grant you all one favor within reason, or its worth in gold. Anything you desire. Of course, that would be
Within reason
contingent.
certainly sounds like a catch. Care to clarify?
What favors have you done for others in the past that might impress us?
I will put it to you thusly. Many of the things the Emperor himself has are favors of mine or my kin. I think he's quite spoiled in the effort, so I'm not going to do much more than one, but you will all have the one. All I need is this, and the assurance that you will not question what it is. I try not to cause trouble in this land. It's a very frail country.
Indeed.
So I need you all to essentially be as discreet as possible.
Russian is not a problem.
Tamlin says, I am afraid that even now I still do not quite know who you are, and I assure you that I will not ask, but it would be a pleasure for me to do a favor for anyone who is kin to the Flensed wife.
And Kyranax turns back to you, and there's this like brief flicker of being entranced again, but you can kind of tell that Kyranax is literally holding back just so it can speak to you without you being too dazed to know what's happening. And says, I'm grateful that I can trust the child of another demon with my work. Thank you very much. If there's anything else that you need, I can offer you only this blueprint and the assistance of my friend here, Raina, who, if you need travel to the rail station or any assistance before you get on the train, you can trust Raina with that up until the point when steam enters the air, at which point you will be on your own, and you will be on your own and you will be on your honor. What say you all?
Campanella shrugs and says, I've never been down south before. Might as well see more of this beautiful country.
And Kyranax chuckles and says, very well then. I will leave you all to your preparations. Raina? And then Raina silently nods to Kyranax, and it briefly seems as if, like, just in the moment when he nods, he is not aware of anything that is happening in the room, and then turns back to you all and he seems perfectly normal again. And then Kyranax skips out through a window and is gone. All you are left with now is your own cells in this room, Rainer, and the blueprint on the crate.
All right. Is the blueprint of the train, I assume?
The blueprint is of the train.
All right. Time to shake it.
Campanella looks around at the rest of the crew and they say, I'm pretty sure that cat just told that our main qualification for this job was that we all have thumbs.
Wouldn't be the first time I've been a pack mule.
Tamlin double checks his hands and double checks everybody else's hands and says, "It definitely seems so." And he goes and picks up the blueprint, gives it a once over, turns to Renee and says, "You seem to be the one who is most acquainted with the type of thing we're about to do," and hands the blueprint over.
I think if it's okay, we probably want to move to the engagement role. So what I propose is that we get that kind of overhead shot. Renee spreads out the whole thing and starts putting markers and crap out of her pockets and coats onto it and says, "Well, the first thing you need to know about Imperial trains is that they're staffed by assholes." And we cut.
Definitely. So this is where we get to the engagement role, which for everyone viewing is another very cool part of Blades in the Dark, which is there is a role that happens before this part of the game, which is called the score, which is the act of the crew now getting into its full shenanigans. And before you conduct a score, you do an engagement roll, which essentially says how well the beginning of this score is going to go. Is this going to be a very easy breezy entrance onto this train, or is something going to go wrong at the very first instance? Which is a very delightful thing to open the game with, because it means we get to possibly consider exactly how volatile this score is going to be at its very outset. So the engagement roll starts with 1 die for sheer luck, because if you're going to do scoundrelly things, of course you are very overwhelmingly lucky. And then we modify the dice pool for major advantages and disadvantages. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? Take 1 die. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? Take -1 die. So I think you definitely get 1 die because you're about to rob the Emperor's own train.
It's kind of bold and also daring.
Definitely very
robbing
bold.
his clothes.
And it doesn't open with a lot of like very sophisticated requirements. It's just, how do you get on the train? So that's 2 die total so far. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Take 1 die. If is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? Take -1 die. So, another very interesting thing about Blades in the Dark, by the way, is that moments like this are very open to group discussion, even if the GM still has the final say. So this is a very interesting moment where I think I want to open it up to you all. I think the train being haunted and also being heavily guarded does count as particular special preparations. But it is also the Emperor's own train, and therefore where a lot of his most prized possessions are rumored to be. So I guess the question is whether that cancels itself out or not, and if not, is it an advantage or a disadvantage? What say you all?
I think my first question is, what detail are we using for our plan? And then we can answer whether that exposes a vulnerability, and it probably also contextualizes some of these other questions.
Yeah. Were we doing a shadow plan, I think? Is that?
Yeah.
I think that's sensible
so
for this.
Yeah. If we do stealth, then the detail is the point of infiltration. There's also occult, the detail, the arcane method, since we have a whisper and a railjack. The other options, just for folks who are watching, assault plan, the detail is a point of attack. Deception plan, the detail is the method of deception. Social plan, the detail is a social connection. And a transport plan is the route and means. I think a transport here doesn't work because it's not our means, unless our transport plan is we take something else alongside and then do a thing, which is an option.
Yeah. If you wanted to steal another train, that is a thing that you could do.
So I will note that as a noble, it's possible that I have access to my family's private train car, which maybe could get hitched on as if I am going to be a passenger on this particular one. However, it may be challenging to get that done in such a short amount of time.
So here is an interesting place where I would ask a kind of background question, which is, do you, even if you do not have any interactions with him, do you believe or know whether any member of your family has had direct interactions with the Emperor?
My relative, I will say, because Lily is cagey about the exact relation, but my relatives, Lord and Lady Pandaren, would certainly have had direct interactions with the Emperor.
I would like you to give me a study roll.
Okay.
Is that the roll that I want?
You want study or fortune? Or even sway, because I would be trying to persuade someone.
No, it is a study roll.
Okay.
I would like to present a piece of information that you would already know.
Okay.
For which your
Hold on, I'm having trouble pulling it up. Okay.
Position is standard.
Okay. Or risky or controlled?
I mean controlled. Yes, your position is controlled, and your effect is your effect is limited.
Okay. Any bonus die?
Nope.
Okay. And that's a 2. I'm studying so well today.
2 is not ideal.
It's not.
Right. So you are aware. 2 is not ideal. You are a piece of information that I wanted to share with you is not a thing that you would know, unfortunately.
All right.
But yes, back to the general question of this plan.
Yeah, it's possible that I would not have access to that car. It would be either too late to have it hooked up, or somebody else is using it in a different place or something like that, in which case I would still probably be able to get a private, at least a private, room for us, essentially, on like a private berth in one of the nicer cars.
I will say, one of the things that you do know very easily is you would have had access to reserved seating on several other trains that take that exact same line, but because of your tenuous relationship with the rest of your family, you haven't used it for some time, and you probably suspect that it's no longer available to you.
That's possible.
Relatives can be very finicky sometimes. So
yeah, they get mad for just the silliest old things, like getting caught on a job.
So back to the engagement. So I will say, just as available information, the obvious point of infiltration that occurs to Renee is that the train has to stop at the Gadak rail station at some point. So it'll simply be a matter of whether you wanted to sneak onto it while it's still mobile, entering or leaving Gadak, or you want to sneak on as cargo or impersonate personnel attempting to enter while it is docking.
Right. I think that my uptick contact under friends, Anders, a station chief, could probably also get me posted to either that train or get me a berth in the way that airline staff get to ride standby to then fly somewhere to then do their work. I think in the same way, railjacks could get to ride trains to other places where then they're supposed to be active. I also, or I want to ask more broadly, how zany of a plan do we want to start with? Because we could also do like Tamlin does a ritual and it teleports us above the train and we drop on it right at the perfect time.
I was about to actually suggest because Tamlin's friend listed under strange friends because he is a whisper, is actually the attendant to his god, a demon known as the Flensed Wife's Skin. So he could ostensibly contact this demon and say that he was contacted by another demon taking this particular shape and bidden to steal something for this demonkin. Could he perhaps avail himself and the group of a favor to teleport them into the train, out of the train, on top of the train, not in front of the train?
I feel like at least one of us having a room is good, though. Like,
I feel like we want to have a room or berth if possible so that we have somewhere to regroup to and or stash things.
And or teleport into. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I take it then that's kind of settling on the plan being occult and the detail therefore being the ritual to teleport onto the train. Is that confirmed? Okay, cool. This is going to be a lot of fun, y'all.
Okay, so do we want Jeoi to do the role then, to do the honors of?
I think so.
That will be the case, but we're still counting dice at the moment. So I will say then, occult as a detail, like an arcane method of entering the train as a detail, would expose a vulnerability of the train, because the train is already so cursed, no one would think someone would interact with more occult to enter.
Little did they know.
Like,
I eat that stuff.
Like
for breakfast.
I mean, the process
and
itself,
lunch.
the process itself might go hilariously poorly, but that's not something that is a deliberate process of having cursed the train. That's just the consequence of trying to respond to the occult with the occult.
Oh God, let's not teleport into a seat or something. That would suck.
It's just like, nope.
One shot over, guys. We're all furniture.
Whoops.
So that would bring you to 3 dice.
All right.
Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? So the Flensed Wife's Skin is 1 die. But I'm questioning, because the ritual still needs to take place somewhere. So is it still at Gaddock Rail Station, or are you going to attempt this teleportation from a much further distance?
If we have Renee get the berth, as well as us attempt to do the arcane ritual, then presumably I would be able to perform that ritual closer than and in relative safety than trying, say, to do it from a warehouse.
Okay. So that's 5 die. That's 5 dice. Are there any other elements that you want to consider? Here is one thing definitely needs to be considered. The train being essentially a separate occult appendage of the Emperor,
I just want to
reasonably shares the same tear as the Emperor. So I'm going to take 1 die from you.
We're teleporting into his left toe. This is a mistake.
Yeah, you're teleporting into essentially
his noodly appendage.
a machine that only operates because the Emperor is still alive. So yeah, that's 4 dice. And And I don't think anything else necessarily complicates it, unless any player has something else that they want to consider for this at this point. I would like to hear it out.
Would having some of my railjack gear, like safety lines, harness, clamps, and things like that, constitute another bonus, or shall we save that for once we're on the mission?
I would want to save that for the mission itself.
Okay.
Okay. With that being said, that's 4 dice for the engagement roll. So I would like Jeoi to make a 4-die fortune roll for me, please.
All right, everybody. May the demons bless us. A 4-die fortune roll.
Crickets.
Okay,
Oh God!
So input value is number of dice. That's 4. No notes for this. Well, I'll put down that it's the engagement roll. That is a
Boxcars,
6,
baby!
a 5, a 6, and a 3. So in Blades in the Dark, if you get 2 6s on a roll, that's a crit. So we did amazingly.
Nat 20.
Nice.
A critical engagement roll is an exceptional result. You've already overcome the first obstacle and you're in a controlled position for what's next. So I'm gonna say how this literally goes is you arrive at the Gadok rail station preparing the ritual even before the train finally arrives. And then just as it's docked, everything just like falls into place. What does the ritual look like, Tamlin?
So you know those very dramatic movie montages where like a whole group of people is walking into a place and they all just so happen to have one aspect of their outfits unfinished. So everybody has the opportunity to mysteriously don an item of clothing extremely fashionably.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit like that. As everyone's donning their miscellaneous item of clothing very fashionably, Tamlin reaches into his coat and pulls out what serves as his fine spirit mask. And a spirit mask is something that Whispers wear that allow them to basically see minor details in the ghost field without them needing to attune. He pulls that out, and it's actually a pair of smoked quartz lenses. And he puts them on, and as he's putting them on, he seems to be murmuring something in Taikarosi, very low under his breath. And then behind the lenses, the smoked quartz of his lenses, the W-slit pupils of his eyes suddenly seem to sheen this bright blue ring octopus blue. And the entire air shimmers around the party, and then they just step very smoothly in like the most perfect video edited cut in the world from the train station onto the train. And they're all perfectly dressed.
Nice. I like that. So you all essentially pass through this weird, soft, peculiar kind of portal that just kind of doesn't emerge in front of you so much as just gathers around you. And when you step into it, you are all already on one of the passenger cars of the train. The entire passenger car is presently empty. It's just you all standing. It has not taken off yet, but it is about to, it has just announced that it's about to continue on its way. So you have some time before anybody even does anything to begin your mission. So what would you like to do from here?
I think Steady's suggestion was that as soon as possible, she get up onto the top of the train car and move quickly to the train where we all expect that a door will be locked, keeping passengers back. and that she's going to unlock the door to let everybody through, which basically means that she's going to get up and on top of the train and start booking across the top.
How many
Okay.
cars away are we?
You are in the 9th car from the front.
And which car are we going to?
According to the information that you have, there are there are 3 cargo cars in front of you that cars 4, 5, and 6 that are likely to have either the cargo and guards or guards.
Fair
So you're
type
just-
of cargo.
I mean, yes. So it is confidently assumed that because those are the most guarded cars on the train, that it would be in one of those cars. That's 4, 5, and 6. Which means that if you wanted to enter from the nearest car that would be locked, that would be the entrance from car 7 to car 6.
Okay.
So I take it then that you're just gonna hop up and do the thing, in which case I think you... Nah,
Tamlin
things are-
would def-
Things
Sorry.
are
While
going well for
Steady's
you, so I'm
up
gonna say that you're
topside.
not rolling.
While Steady's up topside, the rest of us will need to go through 7 and 8, so I'd like to know what's in 7 and 8.
So, 8 is another passenger car that is regularly populated by the Emperor's friends. But you have no information about who might be traveling at this point. So it may be empty or it may be not. And there is typically another civilian cargo car in front of that is presently empty.
All right. I will take point on this then. If we're going to be traveling through a car that I may actually contain people I know, which would be awkward, but at least I would be able to manage the social niceties, presumably. So my attendants will be behind me.
Yeah.
Tamlin would actually offer to go with Steady atop the top of the train, just in case there happen to be guards on top of the train. Then Steady would not be alone.
Campanella would stick to Thorn and just try to lurk and look like they're her heavy.
Okay. I
Also,
do
where is
want
the dining car on this joint?
the dining car is in fact further ahead, but we will get to that point. But I definitely want Tamlin, if Tamlin is going to follow Steady on the top of the train, I do want a roll from Tamlin.
May I do this role as Prowl? Prowl about unseen and traverse obstacles, because I am trying to do this quietly.
Yep, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd be happy to lead this as a group action because I have the goat-footed ability. You are entirely at ease atop a speeding rail car. No matter the circumstances, you can spend 1 stress to avoid any consequence from falling, tumbling, or loss of balance. Take +1d to prowl when performing moves that require balance.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Which means that I guess like both of you are like climbing out of the window and onto the top of the train at the same time, which works as a group action for me. So I guess that means that I would require both of you to roll Prowl.
Yeah, so when we do a group action, as many characters that are involved in the action will all make a roll using the same action. And then we take the highest die result from, or the highest kind of result from the different characters. So if 3 different characters roll, we get to pick whichever is the highest die. Because it's 2 characters it's just going to be my highest roll or Tamlin's highest roll. But then the character that's leading the group action, my character, takes 1 stress, which is a resource that characters have for each character that fails. And what this lets us do is that cool thing of the group is trying to sneak through somewhere, and then the sneakiest character or somebody helps cover for the people who are not as sneaky. I really like this as a way of kind of doing, letting a group act.
Yeah.
So
because it not only like gives flavor to everybody interacting as a group, but it's a neat mechanical solution to the ways that 1d6 can often ruin an entire task.
In this case, it would be like...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Basically, it lets one person carry the team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so like if Tam slips and goes careening towards the side of the train, then whoop, it would be Steady would grab Tam quickly, haul them back up. And so, yeah.
And I am marking magnetic boots and safety lines harness clamps as 2 different items. And because I am a railjack and I have tools of the trade, when you employ the gear of a railjack, they count as fine items. So Brandon, how does that improve my effect on this roll?
It does. Oh my god. This roll is literally position controlled, effect great, +2 dice.
Okay. So position controlled, effect great, and then each of us get +2 dice, or one of us gets...
Renee gets the +2 dice. You do
Okay.
not.
Okay. All right. Rolling prowl. So that's a 1 and a 5 for me. So my highest is a 5.
And Renee got 1, 2, 2, 6. Was that +2 dice before, after my special move?
All right, that also had another die. I totally forgot that was an extra die.
All right, I'm gonna roll an extra die. It's not a 6. If I had gotten 2 6s, then we would crit
A
again.
crit would have been nice, yes.
5 and a 6 isn't so bad.
I mean, the 5s mean that this scene isn't you literally dragging Tamlin as he like sways off the side of this train. It is just Tamlin briefly stumbles in order to like get to the top, but it's not like a burden for you all to eventually stand up on the top of this train and like just get the semi-beautiful but also deeply broken and very monochrome shot of this train moving through a very dim and gloomy Akaros, as you see like the tops of cobblestone buildings and like trees that do not look like trees whirring past you as you travel southward.
Yeah, we're going through a thing called the Ghostlands, which is about as great as it sounds.
Oh yeah, it's actually mildly unpleasant for you all to be on the top of this train, but it's just like at the moment it's just like cold. We haven't experienced any true spiritual hostility yet. That will come later. As for the 2 folks in the train instead of on the train, I take it that you just move to the car in front of you?
Correct.
So you open the door to the passenger car in front of you, and you see it's 2x2 seating, and you see 3 rows full of people who seem to be like asleep or otherwise totally undisturbed by your entrance. Does anyone want to observe anything about this car by chance?
I'd like to take a survey roll, but Campanella, this might be limited given that Campanella is walking behind Thorn. Am I working from a controlled position?
Yeah. And your effect is limited.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because of the nature of the information. But yes.
Yeah, they don't know any of these people. Completely different social circles. 4 and a 2.
A 4 and a 2. This is not your crowd, so you don't recognize anyone here. You haven't even gotten in a fight with any of these people. But something does seem off about their appearance that you cannot pin down. Something seems like the person that you're deliberately looking at that point in time. Something seems off about their appearance, but you can't tell what.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a study roll, but because of the nature of how I'm walking, which is very kind of purposefully and as if I have a thing to do, and how dare anyone stop me to talk to me, I wouldn't expect that I would notice too much. I'm not going very briskly, but I am moving with purpose. So
Campanella will be following about 2 steps back and slightly to the right to cover Thorn's blind spot.
All right. Am I also controlled and limited, or?
Yes.
Okay. And I got a 2 again. I just don't notice things at all.
Yeah, nothing about this is noteworthy or important to you at all. You just keep on trucking.
I'm just going. I'm my head up, eyes forward, just moving.
You're too rich to worry about it.
Exactly. How could anyone even think to do anything to me? I'm way too important. Yes, my Charlize Theron walk.
Oh Lord. So yeah, you continue ahead to car 7, which looks like it was supposed to be a cargo car, but is presently empty. I take it then that we're waiting for Renee to do a thing.
Open sesame.
So Renee, what's your actual plan at this point? What is your intention?
So the plan is to get forward to and basically look down from the lip of each car with magnetic boot still going to check whether the door from the kind of between the cars is locked. And I think she'd be familiar with which what points in trains the doors tend to be locked and what those locks look like. And then get to the one that would stop the group from moving forward. And then Jeoi, does Tamlin have Tinker or other things that would address a lock?
I do.
I just have things that go boom.
I have Tinker. I have the Tinker tools.
Okay. So yeah, then maybe that's just getting to where the locked door would be, and staking out the area, keeping an eye out for ghosts and things.
Okay.
If the door is a ghost door, my left hand is a ghost key. So I wouldn't even need to tinker with it.
I'm curious what that means. Okay.
Let me touch the door.
So here is an interesting moment for me to ask. Well, for me to mention, Tamlin, you have a feeling that you cannot quite explain. It's one of those whispery feelings that typically requires you to be mildly on the alert. What do you do?
When you say I have a mildly on the alert kind of feeling, does that mean I feel like we are being watched? Do I feel like something's following us?
I mean that if you want to learn the answer to that question, you should roll a thing.
Okay. I do have my spirit glasses on, so that would allow me to see anything more or less in my immediate vicinity, but I'm also going to attune to the ghost field to see if there is something nefarious lurking nearby.
Okay. So your position is risky. And your effect is standard.
Standard. And just to clarify, we are still on the top of the
Yes, you are still on the
car?
top of the yeah.
Okay. And for the purposes of the position of the crew currently, I'm going to say that I am still behind Steady because Steady is leading the way to the part where it will be locked.
Mhm.
Okay, so bonus dice. I am not yet suspicious, but would wearing the spirit glasses
Yes.
give me bonus dice? Okay.
I was about to consider the thing, and I think it makes sense. So yes, you get 1 bonus die.
1 bonus dice. So that gives me a total of 4 dice to roll.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me a 5, a 3, a 1, and a 3.
Okay. This is when I let you know 2 things. Just before you had that feeling, you did notice that one of the things that is definitely on the door is a kind of immaterial ghosty lock. But it is in conjunction with other things that you have no idea about, so you're pretty sure that it's also materially locked. But just as you like focus on that thing and become aware of that thing, you also be aware of you are also like suddenly aware of the fact that there is a kind of very sudden increased supernatural presence on the train that seems to be in the general vicinity of the cars that you're on, which is how I let you know that there is an 8-segment clock, the contents of which I will keep minorly secret for the point being, and you are aware that 1 segment of that clock has been marked.
Okay.
For the purposes of the audience, another cool thing that Blades in the Dark does is that it has clocks that allow you to let players know when a kind of danger is about to be afoot. It's how you let people know that there are slowly increasing stakes for an action that they're performing or the situation that they're presently in. And since we're on a ghost train, it might be ghosts, but we'll see. But you are still presently observing the door. I believe that Steady was about to do a thing to the door.
If it's a spirit door, I would let Tamlin handle it. If it's mechanical, I'd let the noble leech do it. I think Steady is instead looking forward because we are out in the world beyond the lightning gates, and so there's got to be ghosts everywhere. The question is, are they paying attention to the train? And so I think Steady is surveying for spirit activity, specifically spirits that are already clustering around this train like moths to a flame, or like undergrads to a kegger, because it's a ghost train, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, that was quite an analogy.
To the cookie plate. They didn't do free cookies at your college.
Oh god.
No, it's not the undergrads; it's the grad students. Undergrads still have their parents buying them food.
What? Did that happen?
Right. So you are going to roll a study for me.
I'd like to do survey.
Survey. Right. Cool. Your position is. Your position is controlled because this is your job. But your effect is limited.
Did we, as a crew, take that Ghost Echoes power? Did we settle on that?
All right, you did. I don't think you settled on a thing as a crew. I know you settled on your crew upgrades for the crew of shadows, which are thieves, spies, and saboteurs. The crew that is most likely to attempt to slide into and sneak onto places instead of just break stuff. But you did not take a special ability as a crew. And if you took Ghost Echoes, it would allow crew members to gain the ability to see and interact with the ghostly structures, streets, and objects within the echo of Dustfall that exists in the ghost field, which would be useful for this moment.
I would be
Let's
happy.
say we took that.
Yeah, how about it?
I would be happy to
Let's just
say that
that was the thing.
Tamlin,
Yeah.
Yes.
Tamlin performed a blessing on everybody,
That
and
makes
then
sense
that
to me.
let them see ghost stuff.
Cool.
Baby shark.
Which means that I'm going to give you a bonus die for this roll.
Okay. So controlled. And does that make our effect standard, or is it still limited? I'd be happy to take standard effect instead of a bonus die.
Fair enough. Take the standard then.
Okay. So I get one bonus die from the Ghost Catcher move. And I've got the standard effect. And
Do you
there's
have Ghost Catcher?
I do. My moves are Ghost Catcher, Tools of the Trade, and Goat Footed because I wanted to specialize. We're doing a one shot.
Right. Take
I
plus 1d to survey an area for spirit activity,
Yeah.
and for which you've gotten a 1, a 3, and a 6. So you notice,
Six.
you know, in the Super Mario Brothers games where boos will very slowly and languorously move towards you until the moment that you stare at them. Hundreds of ghosts, as far as the eye can see, are doing that to the train right now.
So I think what happens there then, if I can move the camera a bit for flavor, is the camera passes over Steady, and we see her in her full safety suit, which is coveralls, gloves, hood, breather mask, goggles. Like this is the full kit of a railjack. And at least one of the railjack's job frequently in these situations is to stare down as many ghosts as you possibly can while the rest of your crew is readying the big lightning hooks or the ghost traps, kind of industrial fantasy Ghostbusters style. And so here what we get is we're focused on Renee, and we see kind of ice blue eyes through the goggles, and we zoom out and out and out, and it's just hundreds of them, and she's trying to regard as many as she possibly can, and says down to Tamlin, "We're on a timer. Company's coming."
And Tamlin responds, "The flensed wife has made me aware." And he reaches out with his left hand, which is heavily tattooed. And prior to this, I didn't describe him, but before he put on the glasses, he did have W slit pupilled eyes, which is very bizarre, but him being Taikarosi is not particularly strange, since people from Taikaros tend to have some kind of strange demonic feature to them. And his skin seemed to be seamed in rings irregularly. And as he touches his left hand, which is a ghost key, to the immaterial portion of the lock, the seams of his skin suddenly bloom open, and he starts glowing blue, like a blue-ringed octopus, because that is the particular animal lineage he derives from.
Okay.
But I touched the ghost door. I touched it.
So I think what makes sense in this moment, very obviously, since you have a ghost key, is that it just does the thing. So there is
Meanwhile,
this
the other lock.
I imagine that what this looks like for Thorn and Campanella downstairs in an actual car is you see your two other team members leaning over, and you see Tamlin put his hand on the door, still essentially kneeling on the top of the train car. And it looks to you both like very little is happening, but from Tamlin's perspective, you are having the mental equivalent of a fist fight with this door. There is a very, very powerful like spiritual envelopment taking place in this space that will require just a little bit of extra effort in order to actually fight, for which I would definitely require a roll from you.
Okay. So I will take that from the way you described it, because it was grappling with a ghosty thing. I will be doing an attune roll because that seems to make the most sense. And because this is a particularly serious role, and I guess I know that I'm grappling basically with an extension of the Emperor himself, would Iron Will's plus 1d
that's specifically for resistance.
okay, so but this isn't actually active attunement. Okay.
Yeah, if something
Okay.
goes wrong, it might be required, but
Okay. All right.
so your position is controlled.
Controlled. Okay. My effect.
Your effect is limited.
My effect is limited, and I'm going to say that because this is a pretty high stakes job and it is for someone who is kin to my god, I'm going to push myself, which is taking 2 stress for 1 extra die.
Okay.
I cannot see this yet.
Ooh.
You got a 4, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, a 6 is good. You are still fighting with the door, and then you clock the door. Oh, this is like a metaphysical thing that is taking place in your brain. What it looks like for everybody else is, there is a moment when the door looks like metaphysically heavy and impassable. And even though nothing visually changes about it, suddenly it just looks like a door.
Meanwhile, Tamlin has gone from glowing mildly blue to glowing very bright blue from effort. And then when the door is unlocked, he finds himself confronted with the thing that he can't unlock, which is a normal lock, and looks over at Steady, a little bit pale, and goes, I don't suppose you know how to deal with this part.
You're right there, Nightlight?
I quite like that.
I think we leave this part to Thorn. You want to help me set up a perimeter here?
Yes,
Thorn pulls a pair of pins out of her hair and proceeds to use them to tinker. They are her fine tinkering tools. She just keeps them secreted in various parts of her.
Just to be sure for like visual purposes, do you mean that you carry legitimate breaking and entering tools, just like hiding them as ordinary things on your person, or are these just like 2 bobby pins?
No, they are legitimate breaking and entry tools that are designed to look like very classy other things. Okay. In this case, hair implements.
Cool. So I take it then that you are doing a thing.
I am going to tinker, yes. So I'll be using tinker to open this mundane lock.
Okay. So I imagine then, just as in one of the previous roles, your fine tinkering tools can either be improved effect or a +1 die. Which would you prefer?
It is a tough call on this one. Is this a limited effect by default, or is it standard?
It is indeed limited. In fact, it's limited.
Okay, so then I'll take the increased effect. Yeah, as much as I would like to have more dice at this point, because I keep rolling 2s.
In fact,
Oh.
Right. So, you are rolling Tinker.
Mhm.
Your position is desperate.
Oh dear.
This is an Imperial lock.
Yes.
Um,
I
but-
recognize that this is an Imperial lock and begin to sweat
yeah,
slightly.
but because your tools are fine, your effect is indeed great. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah.
Okay, so is my effect great with taking the increased effect then?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Whew. I think I might also spend 2 stress to just pay extremely close attention to exactly what I'm doing here, because I know that these are sometimes trapped locks. This could be very, very fidgety, and I'm going to be extra cautious.
Right. So
So-
would you describe that as like a very kind of intense patient focus?
Yes.
Okay. Roll for me, please.
All right. So
Is there a way
desperate
for
and
somebody to
great.
give you an assist, or do you want a devil's bargain?
I'm not sure
You
which
want the
devil's bargain I
devil's
could
bargain.
take right now.
For context for the audience, a devil's bargain is what we call a bad idea. There is a mechanic in Blades in the Dark that allows you to essentially take a future consequence in exchange for an improved facing while taking on a role. Which is very interesting narratively and mechanically, because it's an opportunity to do better than you think that you would have. But it also means that you're setting up future complications down the line, which is really neat.
I'm going to hold on to that one in my back pocket for if we meet people and I
Yeah.
need to apply it to murder. All right. Okay, everyone, cross fingers that I can actually get us through this door. Otherwise, we're going to have to go in the hard way with something that's in my pocket. All right. Here we go. Jeez Louise.
No!
A 1, a 2, a 2, and a 1.
No!
I break my tools and I stare at them in utter confusion.
They're fine tinkering tools. I don't think they break that easily.
On the other side of the door, you
But
see
there is,
Tamlin
like-
look at Steady like.
So,
Well, I guess we're going to have to go around.
so what happens is, you know, because you've done this kind of work before, you've never encountered this lock before, but you know how long it takes for you to pick a lock. And you know that this is taking too long. Everybody else knows this is taking extremely long. At which point, I would like Thorn to... The amount of patience and focus that you've been exhibiting in this moment means that you are hyper aware of mild, like a certain level of interaction that is taking place in the other room. Do you want to roll to find out anything that is taking place in that room?
Yes. Is this a fortune roll or something else?
This is an action that I would like you to determine on your own.
Probably the only thing that I would be able to do is study.
Fair enough.
All right. What's my position?
Your position is also desperate. And your effect is
And-
risky.
Uh,
And your
stand-
effect is limited. I mean,
Okay. Any bonus dice? No.
nope.
Oh boy. I rolled a 2.
You do not notice anything.
I'm really focused right now.
Fair.
And
What
mad.
I'll get
And
like
you
that
rolled
sometimes.
study. How many action dots in study
I just have one.
does steady or Campanella have? Steady has no dots in study.
Study, no. Survey,
Campanella has
yeah.
no studs in it. Okay. Okay, so yeah, you don't notice anything. But I should just let you know externally as players that another clock, a 4-segment clock, has ticked by 1. And
Well?
I cannot tell you what it's about. Um,
How's that other clock doing?
Yeah, the 8-segment one.
the 8-segment one is still 1 tick.
Okay.
Where are those
So we
other
still-
consequences going, Brandon? I'm worried.
You should be.
We only have half an hour left in this game. This is not going to go well.
Is
Yeah.
this now?
All
Is
those
this the time where we
consequences
start?
are going to come home at once.
Do we just start using the explosives now?
Well,
I'm down.
I mean, one of you
So-
has a bandolier full of things.
it's me.
I guess if you wanted to pop the door, I guess you could do that. Do you have things that can pop the door?
Well, I don't have any
I-
explosives, but anyway.
I kind of
I mean, you have grenades. You can have grenades. just grenades.
So
yes,
I
Tamlin.
can.
If we
we're
get
really
really lucky with
desperate-
how we blow this up, maybe we don't have to fight everyone who's in the next car.
Oh.
So
Only half of them.
One of my abilities that I took for the Whisper is Tempest, which is you can push yourself to do one of the following.
Mhm.
Unleash a stroke of lightning as a weapon. Summon a storm in your immediate vicinity. Torrential rain, roaring winds, heavy fog, chilling frost/snow, etc. If we
Okay.
really, really want to definitely get the guards running, do we want me to strike the door with lightning? And is it going to murder everyone alive on this train? Because I presume the train is made of metal.
Alternately, do we want to just
Yeah.
go over the top of this train car to the next one?
The other thing is Campanella has the skill not to be trifled with, meaning I can push myself to do a feat of physical force that verges on the superhuman, like kick in this door.
Yeah.
Yeah, made of
can-
muscles. Made of
Kick
muscles.
in door. Kick in door. Break it. I'm mad at it now.
Okay.
I
You
like to think
can-
your character actually says that.
Yeah,
because
no,
you're rich.
my character now has this brow furrow and just turns around and is like, I cannot believe this.
Okay.
Like,
Brandon-
I thoroughly imagine, like, Campanella just shock masters this entire door. It just goes straight like the Kool-Aid man.
Do it, do it, do it.
Yes, do you need
that
me
your
to roll?
intention?
Please say,
Um,
oh yeah.
Wait, so the ability says you push yourself to do the thing? If you're
Yeah.
pushing yourself to do the thing, you do the thing.
Okay.
You take your stress and the door just falls down. So I want you to describe exactly how you do this. Do you like pull the door out? Do you run like you just charge through? What do you actually do?
I think, most of Campanella's bulk is in their upper body, which is honestly, oh god, like 20 pounds of kilos in a 15 kilo bag. So it is
Okay.
just a full-on combo wrestling body slam through that door. It splinters in the frame. Like, there are still some corners of door up there, but the bulk of the door goes to the floor of the car with Campanella. Campanella, shoulder rolls out of the wreckage of the door, gets onto their feet. Now, how many people do they need to fight, Brandon?
Immediately, so you notice that the room that you are in is a cargo car. There are like piles of crates, each of which is roughly as tall as you are. And among them, you notice to your immediate left and right, as if they were standing just at the edge of the door, are 2 hollows with machetes in their hands. And ahead of you are 6 guards. with body armor, and like some have knives, some have clubs, all of whom are immediately ready to fight you. None of them say anything. All of them just like look at you very sternly and start brandishing their weapons in your direction. I will say that Thorn like can see this through the campanella shaped hole in the door. You can see like a handful of these guards.
Oh dear.
But from where you are standing, Tamlin and
Steady.
right. Oh my god, I'm sorry. From where you're standing on the top of the car behind them, you wouldn't see what's happening in that room until you enter it. Or if you like lean over to look through a window or something.
But you do hear me quietly say, "Oh dear."
Yeah, that you
I
hear.
imagine we also heard the door go clang.
Yeah.
Tamlin looks over at Steady like, oh, well, look at what they did.
Also, this is the part where I just like put you all out of your misery and say that the clock was whether anyone was going to like notice the door. So since you kicked down the door, I guess everybody in that car noticed.
Yep.
That was the 4-segment clock, right?
Yes. The 8-segment clock is still a concern. For which I would just like Tamlin to just very idly give me an attune roll.
Uh-oh. Just a casual attune roll?
Attune roll +1 for your math.
It's a ghost clock. I
Okay.
just know it. It's the ghost clock. Oh god.
Okay, my position is...
Position, standard, effect, great.
Position...
Or risky?
Risky. And... Effect,
Right, yes.
Great.
Position, controlled, effect,
Okay.
great. Yeah, sorry.
Position controlled, effect great, with 1 bonus die. That is a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 1.
Right.
I'm just gonna sit out the rest of the mission. I can't roll.
the
No, we
8
still
segment
need you, Valerie.
that the 8-segment clock ticks by 1. What you are aware of, Tamlin, is there is a brief moment that the train feels alive to you. It feels like it's trying to tell you something, and you cannot hear what it is. It's like you're hearing words and you are straining to make out what the words are. And just at the moment that it seems like you're trying to make sense of this statement, it always seems like it's slipping right out of your grasp.
Oh dear.
But you are aware that the train is doing a thing and that it is not pleasant.
Tamlin, Steady notices that Tamlin's rings basically fluoresce blue again, upon which he looks over at Steady and says, the train speaks like a leviathan and compels what suddenly seems like a swarm of ghost tattoos out from under his sleeves into the car that Campanella just kind of gingerbread man through. And basically what Tamlin is going to do is he sent these ghosts that were tattooed onto his body via his ability Compel. You can attune to the ghost field to force a nearby ghost to appear and obey a command you give it. You are not supernaturally terrified by a ghost you summon or compel, though your allies may be. Sorry, party. But he is basically sending these ghosts into the car to help Campanella deal with whatever might be in this car. So the compulsion that he gives to the ghost is help these like designated people to get through their enemies.
And Brandon,
Mm-hmm.
for clarification purposes, I'd like to ask you if 6 humans and 2 hollows qualifies as a small gang.
Yeah, a small gang. That's a small gang. Yeah, that's a
Great.
small gang.
So the other thing that's going to be happening here is, because this is a one-shot and I don't care about racking up stress, I'm taking 2 more to use not to be trifled with again. Because the other thing you can do with this ability is engage a small gang on equal footing in close combat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Prepare for the whirlwind of muscles.
Just Henry
my
Cavill
God.
your sleeves, like just
I-
clock your fist.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
like
Reload
and
your
the
arms!
sleeves fell off.
So a series of things have to happen now. Tamlin needs to roll to a tune.
What would my position and effect be?
Your position is risky. Your effect is limited.
Limited. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. And I don't think I will take the bonus dice to push just yet, or doubles bargain, because I have seen Campanella. Campanella seems like a person who could very easily murder some people. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
okay, so that's a 1, a 4, and a 2.
4 is not as
partial
good as it could be.
Yeah,
A
it's a partial success.
Right. So you do like hold the attention of a ghost that is nearby. Like it stops doing its peekaboo thing and like actually starts looking at you, and like you have its attention. So I want to know specific, like exactly what is the command that you give. Do you just say help?
Yes, I tell the ghost, help the one who broke through the door. Because I know for sure that Campanella broke through the door. And I can't see what is in the car, so I don't see yet if there actually is anybody like in the car yet.
Okay. So the ghost like opens its eyes very wide, and you see it like kind of shimmer, kind of more brightly than it already was, and then it nods and zooms in through the room. And Campanella, you can see this vaguely ethereal thing rush into one of the hollows in the room. And the hollow turns to you. You barely kind of notice it because you're still like doing the thing. And it like puts its machete through a guy. Takes it out, looks at the guy as if he just to make sure, well, did I do the thing well enough? Okay, that guy is severely stabbed. And he's just gonna continue that throughout this room. Yeah, and I'm just gonna say that this room is now, like, through the mutual effort of you,
And my new ghost
just
friend
like-
with a machete.
yeah, just both of you sufficiently rock the other 5 people in this room, and then the ghost like looks at you, nods. You see the hollow just kind of like wriggle a bit, and then the ghost, and then it just kind of falls limp, and it is obviously no longer a threat to you. It's just like kind of there, and you are now in this cargo car that is observably full of crates for you
Time
to
to
peruse.
look for the crates. Everybody,
Let's
all hands on
start-
deck.
Let's start reading some labels. Survey roll?
Yeah. Is this a group action? Does somebody have
Does anyone have something
Does
they can
anyone have
lead
a
this
thing that
with?
would be useful?
So, if I spun bodyguard and say I'm protecting the rest of you, then that gets me +1 effect to gathering info to anticipate possible threats in the current situation.
Which would be useful if other guards were about to enter the room, which
they probably are because we were noisy.
Yeah, which is a piece of information you would, if you want to study specifically to gain that information, that would be up to you.
The number that we are specifically looking for is Q4/2. So I'm presuming by this time Steady and Tamlin have kind of clambered down in their sailor and railjack prowly ways down and to help look through these crates.
Okay. So that I take it that's group study action.
Yep.
Is
Is
we
that
doing study or survey? Because survey feels like it's better short timey.
right? Yes.
I think survey, and we should say that I am watching all your backs while we run that.
Okay.
Okay. So that would be
a +1 on effect.
right.
You.
So, Tamlin, Steady, and Thorn are in a group survey action to check the crates for the package that they're specifically looking for, and Campanella is doing a separate survey for potential threats. So I want to do Campanella's first.
Position?
Your position is risky.
Effect.
Your effect is standard.
Okay.
And
a bonus die from my ability?
Yes.
Okay. That gives us 5-1-1.
Right. A partial success. You don't notice any immediate changes, but your training almost instinctively tells you, based on the information that you already know, that you would have already like roughly gleaned about this car, that the guards that would get here quickest are the guards in the car ahead of you. So you reposition. You can reposition to that point as you wish. As for everyone else's survey, does anyone have anything that would be potentially useful in this instance otherwise?
No, I'm going to push for a die.
Okay. Is anyone else going to push for a die?
Presuming that because this is something a demon was interested in, perhaps maybe it's written in spooky ink. Would my glasses help with that?
Nope.
Okay.
You have been assured that it's just a crate, a crate with a stamp on it. Although it would be reasonable to assume that you would be equipped to determine if there is anything supernatural within a particular crate, if that's a thing that you want to, if that's a thing that you are in a position to gain further information about, based on your spirit mask, or doesn't Steady have a thing?
I have a thing for detecting spirit activity.
I was the crew's special ability, Ghost Echoes. That you gain the ability to see and interact with the ghostly structures, streets, and objects within the echo of dust wall that exist within the ghost field. For which I will give all of you +1 die.
Okay.
All right, what's our position? Are we risky? Are we desperate?
I wonder how much everyone missed. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Looking for the ghost box.
Right.
On
So
the ghost train.
So we're looking for the ghost box on the ghost train.
Yes,
very
with a ghost
quickly.
person.
So including the bonus die that everyone will get for Ghost Echoes and whatever other bonus die people may gain from potentially pushing themselves. Your position is controlled and your effect is limited.
Okay, and we get +1 from our crew stat.
Yes.
I want to push for effect instead of a die.
Okay, that's fair enough. So that yours will move to great then. Hey!
Finally.
Oh,
Yes.
a 6 from our thorn! And a 6 from me! Woo!
Nice.
We actually find the box.
Yeah.
No fail.
And no one failed. So like, all of you like are like, you are prepared to assume that this is going to take a good long while, and then all of you just turn to the stack of crates to your right, and it's just right there in the center. So you could just like take this moderately large box out of this this column, and now you just have to get off this train before it stops at its next stop.
And I say that the ritual that got us bamfed into the train can bamf us off the train back onto the station? To the previous station, I mean.
Yes, back at Gaddock Rail Station in Night Market, back in Duskwall. Which works for me. Of course, now that you have generated a great deal of distance, this will be a great deal more difficult, I imagine.
Okay, hold on.
Because it's a one-shot, I think it would be quite thematic if I took the devil's bargain. And because I consort with literal devils, there is a devil that I can bargain with.
There is indeed.
To ensure that we all get back safely with the box that my god's kin demands.
Okay. Hey, I know exactly what happens at this moment.
Hamlin explodes. One shot's over.
Right. So we're already doing the thing. Because we're running out of time. So I'm gonna say that you will get a bonus die, but the devil's bargain is
Wait. Is this an attune roll?
Yes, this will be an attune roll
to do
the ritual.
Thankfully, I do have something that can help.
Do you?
I do. I have a Quicksilver potion, which will open your mind further to the ghost field and give you a +1 die to attune. Nice. However, you will suffer level 2 harm.
Level 2 harm.
Well, I'm literally drinking mercury.
I mean, it's a one shot. Do you want to drink? This is a lot. Mercury. Okay. So with that in mind, because this is a thing that can be done, I want to ask you again if you still want to take a devil's bargain as a result.
I think I would take the devil's bargain over the literal vial of liquid mercury.
Are you sure about that?
¿Por qué no los dos?
Steady can also assist because she has a dot and attune, so she should be able to do some ritual assistance.
Well, okay. If I'm getting the assistance, then I will take 2 stress and push instead of taking the devil's bargain because the Emperor has not yet manifested on this train yet. So.
No. Okay.
So my position is risky.
Your position is. Your position is desperate.
Oh. Bom, bom, bom. My position's desperate. My effect is.
Your effect is. Limited.
Ooh. And I'm pushing myself, so I get 1 dice from that, and I'm
You get
also
one-
being
Right.
also being assisted from steady, so that's 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Does your mask also count as assistance, which would also give you another die?
They allow me to see into the ghost field without needing to attune. So I suppose we could say that they provide assistance and that I am better able to like better manipulate the lines of the ghost field to pull us into transportation space.
And does Tamlin need a standard effect to complete the ritual?
No. The ritual can still be completed. They may just be very hostile downsides.
Okay. All right, so here we go, buddies. That is a 1, a 5, a 6,
Oh,
a 2,
wow.
a 3, and a 4.
That was literally every
You
number.
rolled
got every
1, 2, 3, 4,
every
5, 6.
number.
Oh my god.
All of them. We just need 1 6 though.
If we
You only
needed
need
any
1
number.
six.
Sorry, hang on. Does Jeoi get a bonus for rolling a full house or
Oh
straight?
my god. That's not how Blades in the Dark works. Okay, so a success is a success. Lord. So wait, right, so everyone is in this car. I'm gonna say that you're all like roughly around each other enough. That the shimmering of material space that is evidence that the ritual is nearing its completion is now forming around you. Do you have to move in order to travel in space using this ritual, or can it just like boop you out of this space standing and move you back?
I would like to think it boops us, but Tamlin does go from kneeling in, the standard, I've drawn a circle and all of that stuff, to standing, and he goes from glowing dim blue to pretty much glowing blue all over because he's going through the entire spectrum of results right now. It's like 1, 5, 6, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so what happens is, who's holding the crate by the way?
I'm gonna go
The big one, I guess.
Yeah, for the big one. Yeah.
Fair enough. So like so as Campanella grabs the crate, and all the shimmering, like if it's grows in intensity until suddenly all of you can sense that you are no longer moving, and you can see that you're standing in Gaddock Rail Station. And waiting for you, like in one of the carriage tracks on the other side of the rail station is a very pristine black carriage with gold accents, and in its open window you can see Raina. And Raina looks at you all and says and does nothing and waits for you all to interact with him.
Rude.
Okay,
all pile in,
handing
right?
over stolen goods in the
gesture.
parking lot. This is like being a teenager again. Great.
So you just move to the carriage then?
Is that what teenagers
Yeah,
do?
because I don't want to be holding this thing in the middle of the damn train station.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hurry up and finish this before the blue coats catch on.
Uh-huh. Luckily, the space is presently empty. And you get into the carriage. All of you get into the carriage. This is definitely of such high expensive quality that the first thing that you notice when you all get in is this has enough space for you to sit comfortably and just leave this box on the floor where it's not interrupting anyone's ability to sit. And when you get inside, you notice that Kyranax is also here. And Kyranax looks at you all and says, "Thank you. I didn't expect you all to do that so quickly. Was there much of a mess?
Tamlin thinks to the gingerbread cutout of Campanella in the wall and says, hardly not. It was a very neat cutout of Campanella, so it was not messy.
Just
Lovely.
quietly like, shh. I don't know which side you're on in the...
That's lovely. And Reyna snaps his fingers and the carriage begins to move. As you all like head back to Northern Duskfall, Kyranax turns to you all and says, it's not a problem for me at all to arrange for transport to wherever each of you would like to go. As for me and my companion, we'll be taking this package back to our own space so we can begin the rest of our own work. But I would like you to know that since you've done relatively well, unless at some point I were to hear that the Emperor is now on your tail for this, I am in your debt.
Campanella thinks about all those machetes.
Oh God. Oh God. I am in your debt. Seek me out at any time. Literally call my name aloud, and I will do whatever it is in my peculiar power to give you any one thing that you ask. Until then, let's only hope that this evening is the last that you all have to see each other in a spot of trouble like this. Thank you. And with as Kyranax closes with that statement, there's just like this pan outward of the carriage of you all continuing down the busy streets of Duskfall, headed toward the north in the very overcast dusk. Some very exciting violin string plays in the background, and scene.
Yay, we did it.
You did the thing. You robbed the
We
train.
did the thing.
You
We
robbed.
robbed
You
the
stole from
train.
the Emperor.
Yeah, I like to think in the credits of this, if it were a movie, we'd get the really short vignettes interspersed with, as the credits roll, of each of the four calling in their favor, some earlier, maybe some later in life.
Not entire moving scenes, just like small shots of like hand-drawn versions of the scene of you calling in this favor and what this favor is, and then the after credits scene is just the very dim inside of a very dark, cold-looking throne room, as you like from the back of the central throne, as you hear the groaning of stone and wood, and then on the right arm of the throne, you see a very cold, long-fingered hand clenched into a fist. End of the film of this session. So yeah, know that you have angered the Emperor.
I
But
would say
that's
the
not gonna cash in
Emperor
anytime
gives us
soon.
the finger.
So yes.
Thank you guys. That was a super fun game to watch. We also raised over $1,000, I think, while we were sitting here playing. So
Nice.
Thank you, chat.
great. Yeah,
Thank you.
that was super fun. And we also had some people win some dice, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I am jealous of
Yeah.
you all.
Yeah, I hope you guys come back and join us again. Thank you everyone for coming by for Worldbuilders After Dark. If any of you guys have projects going on or anything like that that you'd like to drop, feel free to do that right now before we disband. But thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Do you want to
Thank
just
you
do
so
the
much
usual
for
outro
hosting.
or?
I'm sorry.
No, I was asking, is that okay if we just do like the same thing, the intro, but as an outro, or do we have
Please
time?
do. Yeah.
Okay,
Please
cool. Brandon, take it
do.
away.
Okay. Hi everybody. I'm just gonna let all of the other cool people speak first. Yoi, what are you working on? What cool things do you have planned at the moment, and where can people find you?
So yes, I am Yoi, pronouns he, they. Things going on in my life right now, 2020. Hopefully some fiction to be created, some games to be written as well. You may follow me on Twitter at thisismydesign. Design is capital Dasein. It is a philosophy joke and a Hannibal pun. And yeah, lots more of me playing characters that are absolutely made of meat or totally made of meat.
Definitely made of meat. Next, Iori.
Iori Kusano, she, they, Clarion West 2017, fiction in Apex and forthcoming from Frozen Wavelets, reviews at Strange Horizons. You can find me on Twitter at Iori Kusano. That is with an I on both ends of my first name. And I am also on Speculate SF once a month to play a Blades in the Dark in Brandon Finn's game. These Strange Friends is our crew, and I play Of the Flame the Ash, our Severosi Lark.
Next, Valerie Valdes.
That's me. Yeah, I'm Valerie Valdes. I am author of Chilling Effect and Prime Deceptions. You can find them in stores and online. I am at valerievaldes.com, or you can find me on Twitter at Valerie Valdes, where I will tell you all of my BioWare game opinions, especially right now, because I have more of them, because trailers happened. Oh my God. Okay, anyway, hi. And that's me. And I also am in the Speculate game. We are playing, I believe, on the 20th is our next game at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Speculate channel.
Next, Mike.
Yeah, I'm Michael R. Underwood, he, him. Thank you so much to everybody for watching and participating. Thank you to Brandon for great GMing and everybody for lots of fun. My latest novel is Annihilation Aria, which is a found family space opera. I've also written geeky urban fantasy, martial arts and politics, epic fantasy, Born of the Blade, which was co-written with Cassandra Kaw, Malka Older, and Marie Brennan. Sorry, several M names. You can find that at serialbox.com. And I've also written a dimension hopping genre heist series called Genrenauts. You can find all of my stuff at michaelrunderwood.com. And you can listen to Speculate at speculatesf.com, or a lot of our video episodes end up at youtube.com/Arvan Eleron, ARVANELERON, which is also the name of the Twitch channel where we play Speculate. Thanks so much. That's me.
As for me, I'm Brandon O'Brien, pronouns he, him, or they, them. I am a poet, writer, and game designer from Trinidad and Tobago. I am a member of the Speculate crew, and every month I GM a Blades in the Dark game called The Case of the Cindered Seal with all of the players that you see right now. As previously mentioned, our upcoming session is Sunday night on the 20th. At twitch.tv/Arvan Eleron. I am also the game designer of a Forged in the Dark game called Sound Clash, which uses a very similar system to Two Blades in the Dark, but is about using music and magic to potentially change the world. And I'm GMing a Sound Clash session called The Clampdown that is also taking place on twitch.tv/Arvan Eleron and will be returning in January. And I also have a poetry collection coming out in 2021 called Can You Sign My Tentacle, which is all about the gods of the Cthulhu mythos asking various rappers for their autographs. So I hope that you look out for that when that eventually comes out. And you can find me anywhere on the internet at The Rising Tithes. That's TITHES. So feel free to be my friend on the internet. Thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to do this weird thing. We got to rob a train, folks. That was really rad.
Yay, we did it. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for being here, guys. For those of you in our chat, as you know, you can rewatch all of our panels on YouTube. Yeah, thank you again for being here. We have a special word that we say before we hop off stream. Before I do that, I'm sure everyone would love to know the name of your kitty.
Oh, this is Wash.
We love pets.
Hoban Washburn.
That's Wash, guys. That's perfect. All righty. For tonight's thing, I'm gonna say a different word, and we're gonna say Musa Blades. If anyone gets that. We're waiting for the delay in the chat. There it is. All right. Thanks, guys.